you just starting your day, or did you just get off?
They call, I go, you know.
So what is it you do?
Baby Driver is Edgar Wright's next film. If you don't know who Edgar Wright is, you've probably seen at least one of his films. He's responsible for the Cornetto trilogy, so Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz and World's End. A lot of people think the connective tissue of those films is Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, but there's actually like a third party to that, and that's Edgar Wright. He also directed one of my favourite films of all time. It's amassed popularity over time, it seems. It's quite a cult film now, and that is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. So this brings us up to his next film, which is Baby Driver. Baby Driver is a film starring Ansel Elgort, who was in Fault in Our Stars, I believe. And this film is about a highly coveted getaway driver called Baby, who insists on getting away to the tunes of his iPod Nano. And as a result of this, all of the action, and I believe even some of the dialogue in the film, is synchronised to the beats of the music he's listening to.
I want us to head west and never stop. You in?
I'm in, baby.
The frustrating part is that movie trailers by design take 5 seconds from this part of the film, 5 seconds from this part of the film, 5 seconds from that part of the film, and merges it all into one. The problem with the Baby Driver trailer is that it takes 5 seconds from this part of the film, which is synced to a song, 5 seconds from this part of the film, which is synced to another song, 5 seconds synced to another song, and the trailer itself is just set to, I think it's Nowhere to Run to, that song. And this means that they can't really convey how, as I've heard from reviews and stuff like that, that every action scene and most of the dialogue scenes are synced beat to beat. You can't see that. And while this could be a good thing, because it leaves it for a surprise, you see the film and you realise that every action scene is synced to music, it'd be quite a surprise if you didn't know that going in. But it also means that I've gone up to people and said, hey, have you seen the trailer for Baby Driver? It's a new Edgar Wright film. And they've gone, yeah, it just looks like Fast and Furious film. It's like Fast and Furious and the kid's got autism or something. And that's not what the film is. It's not Fast and Furious. It's not in that category. It's in the category of films like Drive and good films. So that's why I'm making this video, really, just because I want people to know what Baby Driver is all about. You know, you don't have to read all these articles and reviews that explain to you Baby Driver has this, this and this, or Edgar Wright is this, this and this. I'm going to put it all in one video, hopefully, to try and advertise Baby Driver. I haven't been paid by Edgar Wright. I'm a channel with 48 subscribers, so that's ridiculous. I just really like Edgar Wright and I want Baby Driver to do well, so you're welcome, Edgar Wright. You're welcome. You're welcome, Edgar Wright. You're welcome.
Shop. Let's talk it. The target is an armored truck at Perimeter Trust. 10 a.m. sharp. Bank is right next to it. The switch car, baby. Hit the long stay parking structure. Start in the a.m. Questions.
I got a question, Doc. Why'd I believe phones over here heard the goddamn word you said? He ain't even listening.
Baby? The target is an armored truck at Perimeter Trust in Dunwoody, 10 a.m. sharp. The switch car is ready, but you want me to hit the long stay parking structure and get a heist vehicle that stays colder longer? It needs to be ready for an 8:30 start. Questions?
So first of all, I'd like to talk about the cast. It has Kevin Spacey, it has Jamie Foxx, it has John Bernthal, it has John Hamm, it has Lily James from Downton Abbey.
That's some Oscar shit right there.
It has Ansel Elgort from Our Fault in Our Stars to continue Edgar Wright's love of cute young men with brown hair. A weird mix of people. I don't think any of these actors have been in a film together that I know of. They might have, and probably get proved wrong at some point. But I'm excited to see how these characters, or these actors, playing their characters, interact and how this works in the context of the film. So next we should probably talk about Edgar Wright's other big films, starting with Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is probably the best zombie film in the past 2 decades. I know that it's Quentin Tarantino's favourite British film, which is saying something. It's also just got some nice character arcs all the way through, which is something Edgar Wright's really good at, and just taking a group of characters from A to B and showing the whole thing that happens in the middle and why they get from A to B. Next we've got Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz is probably the most intelligent, humour-wise, of the 3 films. It's very witty. It's like a parody almost of action movies, but without the parody over the top elements of epic movie, in that it's very subtle in its parody elements. And the final film in the Cornetto trilogy is The World's End. World's End, I think, is the best character arcs of the three. You got Gary King goes from the start being selfish and wanting to relive his youth, and then at the end of the film, I won't spoil too much, but he kind of does get to relive his youth, and he's a changed person. He cares more about things. You got Andy Knightley, Nick Frost's character, who fell out with him. They become friends again, and they don't, and then they do, and it's just the way he does characters and the way they interact with each other is always really interesting with Edgar Wright. He's really good at doing groups of people. You know, Shaun of the Dead has a group, Hot Fuzz ends up with a group of people with police officers, and World's End is about a group of friends on a pub crawl. I just really like how he does characters and their interactions, which is what films are, essentially. Characters and their interactions with what's around them and who's around them. And then in between Hot Fuzz and The World's End, Mr. Wright made Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which is my favourite film, I think, of all time. I don't like to say that because there's a lot of really good films out there, but I always come back to this film. I can watch it again and again, simply because it's got some great cinematography. There's a video game aesthetic to it, which really lends itself to some really nice shots. It's got humour and editing sort of knit together. There's some really good edits in this film, simply because it's made to look like a comic book, and with that sort of comic booky feel, you can get creative with the editing. So there's a lot of really cool pans and transitions, which I'll get onto later, and the characters in the film, they're just great as well, as always with Edgar Wright. So this brings me on to how impressive Edgar Wright's filmmaking and editing style is, coming from someone who spends a lot of time in Premiere Pro. Edgar Wright whip pans, crash zooms, and dramatic swells his way through films.
And that's what the team is going to make of this.
And he uses these sort of techniques to add urgency or excitement to a scene, or to make one scene flow into the next scene seamlessly. Like sometimes you don't even notice it, or sometimes it looks really cool. An example of how Edgar Wright does really cool and interesting transitions is in the Baby Driver trailer, in which a coffee cup and a button are almost transitioned into each other using a match cut. And it just looks really cool and interesting. Another example of this is in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, in which Knives and Scott are walking around to their usual visits, which are seen earlier on in the film. Basically, Scott's wandering around. He's in love with Ramona at this time, I believe, and he doesn't really care about Knives, and he knows that he has to, well, he should, dump Knives. And all these scenes are transitioned into each other as they're walking from place to place, using wipes, but wipes of using people in the scene. So someone will walk past, and on the other side of them, the next scene will wipe in until the person's completely walked off screen, and then the next scene's wiped in. And he does this with, like, I think clothing rail or a door or something. A lot of things basically used to wipe between scenes, and this sort of shows how Scott's feeling almost like not really in the moment. You know, we don't really notice how we're hopping from place to place because it's so smooth, just as Scott doesn't really notice he's hopping from place to place, just because he's thinking about other things. So yeah, as you can see, Edgar Wright's editing style is just really interesting and cool. He manages to take something as mundane as cutting from one shot to the next and makes it more interesting, and even say a little bit about what the character is feeling, which I just thought was really impressive in the case of Scott Pilgrim. There's many other cases of co-editing in, you know, Shaun of the Dead, even Space, which is a series that he did before his film career kicked off, really. Yeah, that's why you should be excited for Baby Driver. I just made this video because I'm really excited for it. I've been an Edgar Wright fan for a long time, and I'm really excited to see what he's done next. I'm fairly certain this film is going to be really good because the reviews so far have been great. It was screened somewhere, I can't remember where now, but it was screened and people really liked it. The response was positive, so hopefully this video isn't going to be a big lie when it comes out. We shall see. Baby Driver is a film starring Ansel Elgort. Ansel Elgort. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that. How do you pronounce Ansel Elgort? I'm going to say Ansel Elgort.